Woo! Let's go. What the hell is that? Jesus. Okay, so what do we want to talk about today? Well, I wanted to talk about something which kind of stimulated my mind, got me thinking a little bit about actually something that I saw online the other day. I've been a fan of another motovlogger in the UK called Baron von Grumble. So you don't know him, definitely check out his videos. Anyway, so he posted up a video, I don't know, a few days ago about the new BMW S1000 XR, and in this particular video he's taking it on a like a test ride, but it's on a track. It's like a track day. Have a look at the bike, you'll see what kind of bike it is. It's a very upright, I'd say kind of touring bike, a bit like a Ducati Multistrada. Talking about, you know, how this bike was so easy to use, it was so easy to ride, and it was really easy to ride quite fast as well. And a kind of thought came to my head, which was about, well, you know, with in today's day and age, you've got things like launch control, and you've got things like traction control, ABS brakes. You've got these different mode settings, so you can have it in mode A and mode B for different power deliveries. How much rider skill are those is that technology actually taking away from the rider? You could take it out of the showroom, get on it, you could grab a big handful of throttle and nothing will happen, because the launch control and the traction control and all of the other techno gizmos they're not going to throw you off. And I was recounting a story that was told to me by a dealer once. So it's a guy that came along, he picked up a Fireblade, essentially picked up this bike from the dealer, ridden it around the car park a little, you know, for a few minutes, jumped on it, and then because the bike was so big, it was a lot more powerful than what his experience was before. Essentially just went straight through a hedge on the other side of the road to the dealer. To me, that was just a perfect example of where rider ability needs to, in the old days, rider ability matched the skill that you had, the experience that you had, and your I suppose the size of the bike that you went ahead and you bought and you rode. You know, it kind of struck me that, well, you know, in today's modern age, with all of these assisted technology and electronic programs, you know, I mean, it's like, well, anybody can be Rossi, yeah? And I mean, this has come from the motor sport world, where all of these technologies have been incorporated into MotoGP and British Superbikes, and then they've gone on to production bikes. And that's where it's come from. In MotoGP, it's probably less important, because, you know, you still have to be an extremely talented rider to be able to compete with the likes of Rossi and Marquez and Lorenzo. Yeah, you still need to be a talented rider, regardless of how many electronic friggin' aids you have. But on the road, and you know, on a track day or something like that, is that really still the case? If you're a mediocre rider, or even a really poor quality rider with very little skill and not a lot of experience, and perhaps only recently passed your test, you could get one of these big powerful bikes and get out there. But is that really the right thing to do? Is that the best thing for somebody to do? And I'm not convinced that it is. When you're on a smaller bike, you learn how to downshift and upshift. You learn how to match your gear and throttle. So you could do that. You could get on one of these bikes, you grab a big handful of power, and it's not going to go anywhere because of the electronic aids. So surely that makes the skill and the ability of the rider it doesn't need to be as good. It doesn't need to be as high. And I think that maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know what you think. It'd be interesting to know your thoughts. And what do you think about electronic aids? And whether that takes something away from the rider. Does that take something away from the ability of the rider and the skill that the rider needs to handle a Fireblade or an R1 or a BMW 1000? Because I think it does, and I don't think that that is necessarily a good thing. I think that actually it's quite a bad thing that we've got riders out there with perhaps a lack of skill and a lack of ability, but they're on these really big powerful motorbikes. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Just it was some thoughts that were stimulated as a consequence of that video. So what do you think? Do you think that there is too much technology on bikes these days? Do you think that it takes away the skill and ability of the rider? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? So let me know. Post your comments. Thank you for watching the today's vid. Subscribe, and there'll be more vids coming out soon. I look forward to catching up with you real soon. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye for now.